What's up, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Thomas of the J of the Bellezza at the right mindset. Today, we're going to just go right into it. We're going to go over rewriting the greats, rewrite the greats. Today is going to be Game of Thrones, RR of the Martin, the House of Martin. Now, keep in mind, uh, when I say rewrite, this is a learning experience, not a hey, look at me, hey, check out my style, hey, I'm awesome, amazing, and unique. This is a video mostly about your voice as an author. Okay. And when we look at other authors, sometimes we are judging ourselves against it, right? But to find our voice, it really comes through many things from themes to your stylistic choices to how you use chapters, your word choices, your prose. A lot of people say that my style of writing is cinematic, which probably is influenced by my screenwriting career. So I like to show the movement of everything and allow the behaviors to be on the page. Whereas traditionally, some people like to go deep diving with the exposition and the exploration. But let's do it. Let's get into looking at the RR of the Martin. Mr. Martin. Ooh, there he is. All right. We'll take this down because we don't need that there. We'll put me over here. No, where we want to put me? I guess I'm good over here. Boop. All right. So how our author voices shine. That's what our joy is for today. Okay. All right. If you have any questions, by the way, please ask them. I love questions. I love answering the questions. I love getting everybody involved. That's really the whole point of this, right? Okay. So first, we're going to kind of go over Martin's style, and then I'm going to write it in my voice. And again, the only reason I'm writing it in my voice is to show you that everybody looks at things differently. We also have that fear, like, oh, someone's going to steal my idea. And it's like, no one can write like you. The way you move through the plot becomes the story you're telling. And that's what makes everything different. Because in reality, there's only 7 stories you can tell. Oh, I finally made it. Hey, what's up? Thank you for showing up. I hope I entertain. All right. Let me get my seat all right. I got my water, I got my mic, and I got my brain. All right, so let's do this. The morning had dawned, clear and cold, with a crispness that hinted at the end of summer. They set forth at daybreak to see a man beheaded, 20 in all, and Bran rode among them, nervous with excitement. This was the first time he had been deemed old enough to go with his lord father and his brothers to see the king's justice done. It was the 9th year of summer and the 7th of Bran's life. Now, when it comes to Brandon's voice specifically, this is a very old style of writing. It is a more modern version of the Tolkien time, but there is a lot of exposition within the movement, and it's done very well because it moves through the POV of Bran. We are in third person limited, close limited. So the morning had dude, he sets the scene very clearly, right? And this is all within Bran's POV. And we talk about that. Every sentence we write should have at least one or more of these 3 elements: plot, character, or world building. And he's showing character through the way he's choosing to acknowledge what is affecting him. The morning had dawned, clear and cold, with a crispness that hinted at the end of summer. So this is something Bran is technically thinking about and noticing without it saying Bran felt the morning dew. All right, anyway, they set forth, this is exposition, but it is what Bran is thinking about because he's nervous with excitement, etc., right? And then this was the first time he had been deemed old enough to go with his Lord Father. This is context. This is telling. And by the way, remember, on this channel, we talk about show, sometimes tell. We don't believe in show, don't tell. You have to tell. I know a lot of writers, especially some of my clients, they get nervous when it comes to the prose. They'll say to themselves, should I feel like I'm telling here. And it's like, it's okay to tell. It matters the ratio. You don't want to overtell, though I am also a fan of showing overtelling, but it's your author voice. And then it was the 9th year of summer. This is straight telling. This is straight telling. Okay. However, it is world building because it is the 9th year of summer and the 7th of Bran's life. So that becomes world building, which would be one of the three. All right, so let's do it. Let's focus on this one first. So if I was going to write this, right? Would you say there's a ratio for show, not tell? Yes, there is a ratio. I would say, and again, remember this comes down to your writer's voice. I mean, I could literally write in first person and go, this cold, damn, it's crisp, and like that could be the opening, if that's how I wanted to go. I could that would be the writer's voice through first person, and it is the representation, right? But you as the author have to decide, what are you more willing to do? Are you someone who kind of wants to just lay it out, or are you someone who kind of wants to show it through? Me personally, and again, everybody's subjective, I like to do at least like a 80-20, 80 show, 20 tell. And if I am going to tell, I like to tell through narrative movement. This would be narrative movement. It was the 9th year of summer and the 7th of Bran's life. It is telling, but it has world building, but it is through the narrative telling. Now, if you're like, what is narrative flow? What are we talking about? All right. So if it just said, for example, if it was Bran had reached his seventh year, and it occurred in the 9th year of summer. That is more telling than it is through the narrative flow. And the reason is because if it was here, like if that sentence went here, it would almost stop the narrative and wouldn't really feel like the flow of the, you know what I'm saying? And we talk about, on this channel, we talk about narrative movement when it comes to every sentence and every passage. So for example, the morning had dawned clear and cold with a crispness that hinted at the end of the summer. So now we have to qualify something within that sentence. So when you're writing prose, you want to qualify, like healthy eating. I should remember that. Yes. You want to eat as much pizza as possible, as long as you have some broccoli on the side. All right. So we have to qualify or add a value or modify something from this sentence, right? So he says they set forth at daybreak to see a man beheaded, 20 in all, and Bran rode among them nervous with excitement. I personally don't think it has a narrative movement here, because we have morning. We didn't explain the morning, and we didn't explain the summerness. The most that's happening is it's just another movement. But again, this is an older style of narration. You know what I'm saying? Like the way narration changes over each generation is going to show in writing. But ultimately, he does qualify this sentence with this. This was the first time he had, because we're now explaining why he's nervous. And that is narrative movement. When something from the previous sentence is explored deeper in the next sentence, but moves the narrative forward. And it's the same thing with these other passages. But so let's go into it. How would I write it? How would I show my voice? I want you as the viewer to also think about, how would you write this moment? If you'd like, feel free to give some examples in the comments below. I'd love to see it, because this is all an experiment to show us how to develop our voice, in the sense that, well, we understand the story because it's already written, but how would we tell that story? Because again, remember, all narratives are made up of two things: plot and story. Plot is what needs to happen no matter what, and story is how it unfolds through the emotional experiences and choices of your characters. We as authors control the story no matter what the plot is. In this situation, the plot is that we have to introduce Bran and the fact that he's traveling to this beheading, right? And also how old he is. All right. The way I like to do it is I'm more cinematic. So the morning had dawned with clear and crisp. All right. Breeze dawned. Cleared. Let's see. Now this is what writing is, right? You got to think about it. So a crispness. Christmas breeze, crisp dawn. I'm going to try to match the mood that he's going for. So, the morning at dawn, clear and cold, with a Christmas that hinted at the end of summer. Christmas dawned and Christmas dawned clear and cold, hinting the summer. The end of summer. Now, right away, I already kind of want to bring in a character POV right away, or I want to move it into the experience of a character right away. To me, this feels more like, that's why, like, even over here, like, this is like a very good, strong first sentence, but then, like, it just jumps to sort of like, let's explain something to you. So a crispness dawned, clear and cold, right? So this sentence also is complex and it's broken up. So all first drafts should get out of your head and then you kind of work on it, right? Christmas. Now I'm also like lyrical, so blessed. Around. Oh, blessed across brand brothers leaking around inside his hood. It's clear and cold touch hinted at the end of summer. All right, so for me, when it comes to my voice, I like to just get the characters right in there, or I like to create a mood right off the bat. So crispness, blessed across. I don't like that. Morning crisp. Morning kiss. Cool. Yeah, morning kiss. A morning crispness. Yeah, that's fine. A morning crispness blessed across Bran and his brothers, right? So we already have them in there, but we could actually take the brothers out for now. Blessed across Bran's white round cheeks. White cheeks. Let's say red cheeks. Leaking around the inside of his hood. It's clear and cold touch hinted at the end of summer. All right. So what am I doing here that is different than what R.R. Martin is doing? I'm creating more of a movement, like physical, like movement of the narration, whereas he's explaining the narration. I'm letting the narration have interaction with the character. So I'm also giving some life to the coldness. And by the way, nothing is better or worse. These are just choices. And that's ultimately what author voice is. It's making a choice. You have to make a choice based on how you want the environment to react and interact with the characters. And then you want to make a choice on how characters interact. So here's another thing I could do now. It's cold. It's clear and cold touch hinted at the end of summer, right? So a morning crispness. I don't know why I can't say it. Crispness blessed across, blessed. Blessed across Brian's red cheeks. I hope I spelled that completely wrong. All right. Okay, leaking around the inside of his hood, right? But I can now give him I could give him a choice. I can now Bran react to that. Because remember, story is the emotional experiences and choices. So what is a choice? The morning Christmas blessed across Bran's red cheeks, tugging his hood tighter over his head. Okay. The wind leaked inside. Oh, okay. As the leaked around the nape of his neck. All right. So obviously, I went back because every first draft, you're always kind of. Now, I wouldn't do this, by the way, when I'm writing. If I was writing, I would just get it out. And then when I went back through my second draft, that's when I would start going. I would look at sentences like this. Now, this is a long first sentence. A morning crispness, blessed across Brand's red cheeks, tucking. Maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do this. Morning Christmas, blessed across Brand's red cheeks. Teasing closer. Teasing his warmth away, right? He tucked, there we go. He tucked his hood tighter around his head as the wind leaked, right? Leaked around the nape of his neck. So now, not only did we break up the sentence, but we added some more movement to the environment and the characters themselves. So, a morning Christmas, blessed across Brand's red cheeks, teasing his warmth away. Okay, so now we've given some life or to the weather, but it causes him to make a choice, and the choice is he tucked his hood tighter over his head as the wind leaked around the nape of his neck. Okay, so this is giving the idea that the wind is going through his hood, and he has to. It's cold, right? It's clear and cold touch hinted at the end of summer. So each of those have narrative movement. We set the weather. Bran reacts to that weather by tucking his hood tighter. What does that indicate? The weather indicates that summer's coming. All right. So now it's cold and it's clear and cold touch hinted at the end of summer. So I basically took this moment and this moment, like brand here, and put that in there, right? It's clear and cold touch hinted at the end of summer, right? And I could actually do this. I could go. It was the 9th year of summer, so you could say the end of the 9th year of summer. And this would be an example of putting exposition through narrative movement. So this, it's clear and cold touch hinted at the end of the 9th. What the hell? 9th year of summer. By the way, dyslexia. That's what it looks like in real time. All right. What do we got here so far? Everyone likes themes that resonate with me and emerge a theme. All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. So again, hey, I get it. I get it. You know, sometimes I have to rewatch it because I forget what happened while I'm doing it, you know. But I'm glad that you stopped by. And if you have to end up going, you know, that look, I get it. But I'm very thankful that you're here as it is. So again, you know, when you're looking at this, think to yourselves, how would you write this? You know, what is your voice? What are you doing? Right. And as an example, I'm trying to look at the characters because I like writing through the characters, and I'm making choices based on the characters. Then I'm creating reactions, so the consequence, the cause and effect of things. So again, because the crisp morning Christmas blessed Brand's red cheeks, teasing his warmth away, the cause and effect is he tucked his hood closer, right? And the cause and effect of that is it's clear and cold. All right. It's almost 10 p.m. from, what is it? 2, 3, 4. Wow. Where is that? It's 8 hours difference. Is that Australia? England's 5, right? I think England's 5. All right, where are we? Okay, so let's see. I got Israel. Oh, excellent. Hello. All right. So I got this 1920 here. Woo! Oh yeah, because it's 2 hours. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. You do the military time. I like it. They set forth. I don't need to know about that. The first time it was the 9th year of summer, and I got this. So even though I haven't explained any of this yet, I'm just creating the movement, and a lot of this information I would like to sort of slowly leak into the reality. In fact, I would bring in the 20 other writers in another passage and not necessarily allow it to be a huge dump of information, right? I kind of want to keep the reader moving. I like each line to allow you, the reader, to keep going. All right. It's clear and cold touch hinted at the end of the 9th year of summer. Right. And then I could do something as simple as this, though. I could say, for a boy in his 7th year, he rode in the middle of his brothers, among 20 or so, but 20 in all. Heading, okay, 20 in all. He held his eyes away from Rob, his eldest, right? Trying, straightening. No, right, let me see what I'm going to say here. He held his eyes away from Rob, his eldest brother. Hid the nervous curl of his neck, of his head, in his shiver of the cold. Right. All right. So whatever. Okay. So now I'm bringing in this, right? 20 in all. They set forth at daybreak. All right. I'm actually going to bring the daybreak. I got this in there. Look at that. Boom. And then this is the first time he deemed over. Okay. All right. So let's see. All right. For a boy in his 7th year, he rode with his head down. There we go. Let's do this. I'm going to take this out. Put this here for now. Rode with his head down, avoiding. All right. Avoiding his eyes from yon, his brother. Ran, hid the nervous curl of his head in the shiver of his cold. And amongst his other brothers. Okay, amongst the others. The others, 20 in all. All right. So again, it's always about reworking and trying to find what works for you in the voice. Let's see. Avoiding is nice. So I think that feels a little bit better. For a boy in his 7th year, he rode with his head down, avoiding the eyes of Rob, his eldest brother. Bran hid the nervous curl of his head in a shiver of the cold. I could just say shiver. In a shiver. And amongst, okay. Tucked away in the middle. Tucked away in the middle of the others, 20 in all. Right. So, the middle of the other riders, 20 in all. Precession. That's not how you spell that. Precession. All right. Precession. Okay. All right. Pre-session. What do we got here? There's so much to remember when writing one sentence. Instead of just writing it, I've just thought of a song name which I think may help. It has a fab bass line. Lyrics don't reflect it, but the title does. It's a start for. Okay, there we go. Well, to be honest, if I may, um, I don't put this much thought into writing a sentence when I'm writing a first draft. If I was writing this first draft, honestly, it probably would come out like Bran rode among his brothers and 20 others. They headed to behead a man for the crimes of having a silly face. Whatever the case may be. His face was silly. And the reason is because if I can't get the first draft out, I'll never get to the second draft. So when it comes to writing the first draft, don't even worry about rules. Don't worry about grammar. Yeah, I would say that I write in note form almost. Because if you haven't seen my other videos, when I'm writing a first draft, or I should say a zero draft, it looks like this. Actually, yeah. So I'll do this. I'll go. It would say Bran rode among his brothers, right? 20 in all. I'll say that, right? And then they headed. So this is a new beat, right? To behead a man for the crimes of having a silly face, right? So then what I'll do is I'll go back to this beat. And now, what does this beat look like? Bran rode among his brothers, 20 in all. It was cold that morning as they headed off after daybreak. Okay. And then what was his crimes? The Night's Watch has a vow to stay their ground and abandoning it leads to their death. All right. So, all right. But then this sentence would become something. Like this sentence would become this. You know what I'm saying? Or more importantly, this beat, because I would write this beat out. I'll just be like, maybe I talk about how he was nervous, right? If I was writing, because I write out plot first in my head, and I try to stay away from the small details of like, but how do I describe the cold? Because it doesn't matter. It was cold. That's all that matters. It's not, and even in the first draft, I take this and I just try to get it out. What I'm doing is I'm actually going through multiple stages in real time. I'm doing a zero draft, which is technically this because I'm playing off of this. And then I'm writing a first draft, and then I'm editing in real time, which would turn into the second draft and so forth. So ignore the fluidity of what I'm doing and the speed at which I'm doing it, because that isn't how I would write long form. This is just an exercise to showcase author voice and how it comes to life. In fact, as an example, this is one paragraph or passage, and I've created two passages from it, allowing me to have a little bit more movement. And that is also something that is a part of my author's voice. And that's something you should think about as writers as well, is that you can do more passages. You could do, look at this passage. This passage is massive. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. There is zero wrong with this passage when it comes to its size, as long as it's doing what it is the author is trying to accomplish. And a lot of times, a big question I get is, how many words should a chapter be? Or how long should a passage be? When I was in school, they were like, if a prose doesn't have 4 sentences minimum, then it's not considered a prose, and like it needs to be longer. But really, a prose, if I wrote this alone, that's a prose. It's a full sentence. It has emotion. It is it is saying narratively, it is speaking of what the feeling is, what is actually happening. You know what I'm saying? Alone. So for anyone to tell you that there are rules to this in the sense of like you have to stick to them, are lying to you. Rules are there as guidelines, but ultimately, your voice is designed by the way you work through the beats. Okay. With that said, all right. Okay, let's keep going a little bit. Okay, let's see. Steadied around him, having now traveled since the break of day, and before them is a man. Before, I think he's actually with them, but no. Before them is a man in the distance, kneeling. His sobs reached Bran in the dance of winds. All right. Again, I'm lyrical, not poetic. Lyrical just means that there's a little bit more romance in the style of writing, and poetic is like just way too many purple prose. I like to kind of add a little something to it, but also maintain clarity. So let's look at this. I got this. And King's Justice. Actually, I kind of like that. Kneeling, his sobs reach Bran. Okay. Kneeling in the shadow of the king's, I guess it would be lowercase, King's Justice. His sobs, reached Bran in the dance of winds. In the dance of winds. All right. So anyway, I got this. All right. 20. The first time he had been deemed old enough to go with his father. I don't think this is actually important in my mind right now. That might be important a little bit later, but his lord father and his brothers to see the king's justice. Okay. So for a boy in his 7th year, he rode behind his lord father and held his head down to avoid see, now I could clean this up. To avoid his eldest brother Rob. Okay. And held his head down to avoid. Okay, and held his head down. Okay, for a boy in his 7th year, he rode behind his lord father and held his head to avoid his eldest brother Rob. Bran hid the nervous curl of his head from him in his shiver, tucked away in the middle of the others, riding 20 and all. All right, so there you go. So now I'm starting to fill in the other stuff. So we got the Lord Fathers, we got the brothers. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. All right. I might even do this. Boom. Now we created a rhythm, right? So the morning crispness blessed across Bran's red cheeks, teasing his warmth away. He tucked his hood tighter over his head as the wind leaked around the nape of his neck. Its clear and cold touch hinted at the end of the 9th year of summer. For a boy in his 7th year, he rode behind his lord father and held his head down to avoid his eldest brother Rob. Bran hid the nervous and curl of his head from him in his shiver, tucked away in the middle of the other riders. 20 in all. The procession steadied around him, having now traveled since the break of day, and before them is a man in the distance, kneeling in the shadow of the king's justice. His sobs reached Bran in the dance of winds. And ultimately, what I'm doing is why I broke that up into 3, and I basically took this and created a larger representation of it, I'd say. It's mostly because I created the beats of, so I'm setting the scene. I look at scenes like camera work, like as if you're watching a movie, and right away we're on Bran's face. So it's a close up of Bran's red cheeks, and he's cold, and he's pulling the hood, and we're seeing behavior to the cold. Then I'm pulling back a little bit, so we could see that he's riding behind his father and his brothers to his side. It doesn't matter which side. And that Bran is curling and hiding himself, okay? But I'm also continuing to allow the weather to be a part of the narrative. So I'm not just saying it's cold. I am allowing the cold to continue to influence the behavior. Therefore, the characters are making choices, right? And then where are they going? I now allow the camera to show the man. I show the full procession, right? Because we mentioned 20 in all. Oh, this is narrative movement, by the way. So within this sentence, I talk about there's 20 in all around him. So now I show the procession steadied around him, right? Having now traveled since the break of day, and before them is a man in the distance. So then I have to qualify that or modify the man in the distance. And now I explain that he is kneeling in the shadow of the king's justice. His sobs reached Bran in the dance of winds. So that means the next passage allows me to qualify the kneeling, the man kneeling. And if we look at this passage, this very long passage of okay, so the man had been taken outside a small holdfast in the hills. Oh, before I get into that, let me also explain another thing that's happening. This whole narrative is being presented through the POV of Bran, but it's also physically moving through camera movements, close-ups, mid shots, establishing shots, master shots, right? And I'm not just sort of like explaining things. I'm allowing it to unfold through the emotional experiences and choices of characters, right? So even the procession is influencing, or he is experiencing the procession because he is sensing it around him, okay, which was important to me. All right, Bran hid I should say his nervous curl. Bran hid his nervous curl. Oh, I know, it has to be the nervous curl of his head. Okay. Tucked away in the middle of the other riders, 20 in all. All right. So if I'm going to go here, the man had been taken outside a small holdfast in the hills. Robb thought he was a wildling. His sword. Okay. Again, when it comes to your voice, some people like to go directly into the mind of somebody. This is sort of head hopping, but it could also be a thought from Bran, because it made Bran's skin prickle. So, like Bran could be going, oh yeah, Robb in the past has thought, before we got here, he was like, this guy has to be a wildling, right? But this is telling, right? So Robb thought he was a wildling. His sword sworn to Mace Rider. All right, Raider, the king beyond the wall, right? To me, I might not have to put that here right now, but it's more. I'd even be like, let's see. He remembered the hearth tales of old Nan told him. The wildlings were cruel men, she said, slavers and slayers and thieves. They consorted with giants and ghouls, stole girl children in the dead of night, and drank blood from polished horns, and their women lay with the others in the long night to sire terrible half-human children. For me and my voice as an author, that's a lot of exposition, right? That I feel can be seeded through the novel itself. So I get to make choices. Do I want to spend my word budget on explaining this stuff now? or would I rather spend my word budget on letting it play through the scene and allowing the characters to kind of be in the moment, and then this stuff I could sort of expand on as I go through the narrative? Because you might be saying, but Thomas, you have 3 passages to his 1. Yeah, but more is happening within 3 than there is in 1. And so far, we are learning about the situation, but we're not being told about a lot of exposition, one might say. What do we got? Yeah, everyone likes themes that resonate, huh? Me too. All right. The man had been taken outside. So I would probably say I really this stuff, this all feels like I don't need this. So I'm gonna do one of these. But let's see what this says. But the man they found bound hand and foot to the holdfast wall, awaiting the king's justice, was old. And oh, by the way, you ever hear somebody say, "Oh, don't repeat things," right? You gotta. Well, he's literally saying the king's justice again. He's not figuring out what's another way to say the king's justice. Sometimes you just gotta repeat the thing, and that's okay too. It's okay to repeat the thing. Yeah, repeat the thing. All right, was old and scrawny, not much taller than Rob. He had lost both ears and a finger to frostbite, and he dressed all in black, the same as a brother of the Night's Watch, except that his furs were ragged and greasy. Ooh. All right. Okay. Stark. Lord Stark controlled the pace. Horses coming to a stop first near the holdfast in the hills. All right. All right. Friends, brothers. Move closer to their father before leaping off theirs. All right. Okay, so I'm just basically, I got this. I don't need all this extra information. I would personally do a little bit later. But the man, okay. As the youngest. Man took his time climbing down the black stallion. Right. The black stallion. All right, so we want to do they explain the horse's color? They said that I love animals, so I like to sort of like give animals a little bit more detail. All right. So Lord Stark controlled the pace. The pace. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Lord Stark controlled the pace, guiding the horses to a stop. Guiding the horses to a halt. I think that would be a better word. Halt. Near the holdfast in the hills. All right. Bran's brothers moved. Okay. Followed closer to their father before leaping off theirs. And then we could just end as the youngest Bran took his time climbing down his black stallion. All right. Oh, the stank of ragged and grease. Age. Corroded the air, flicking at Bran's young youth. All right. He covered his gaze from the man bound hand and foot to the holdfast wall Okay, awaiting his punishment. Okay, all right. No ears, no fingers, each lost to frostbite. All right, I'm gonna explain why I did that in a second. And dressed in black, uh, as, oh, as all, same as all brothers of the Night's Watch. Okay. All right. So instead of describing the guy, I'm allowing Bran to react to the guy. And now it is clear that Bran is experiencing this character. So the stank of ragged and greasy age, or I should say, death. Corroded. I spelled that wrong. Corroded. I spelled corroded. Corroded. Maybe I did spell that right. Oh, yeah. I did. Corroded. All right. I'm excited. Remember, all great writers have great editors. All right. So the stank, I should say, actually, I could do this. The ragged and greasy stank death corroded the air, flicking at Bran's youth. And then there's a cause and effect, narrative flow. He covered his gaze from the man. I should say he covered his nose, turning from the man. I think it's man, bound-handed. Oh yeah, and foot to the holdfast wall as he awaited his punishment. No ears, no fingers, each lost to frostbite, and dressed in black, same as all the brothers. Now I could do a couple things. I could go no ears, no fingers, and each and each lost to frost. So why would I do that? So as an author, you also want to think about, especially when you're getting deeper into your drafts, you want to think about rhythm of words. So I could do periods where it's like no ears, no fingers, and each lost to frostbite. Right? But the commas are allowed to be like no ears, no fingers, and each lost to frostbite, right? Or I could say lost the no, I like that. And dressed in black, same as all brothers of the Night's Watch. So there is a different movement, and that is a part of the author's voice, is your movement to the sentences. So this is more like what is going on? Well, but the man they found bound-handed. They, by the way, makes it in the presentation of all the characters. I'm still allowing it to be in just Bran's POV. And again, that is just a choice. There's no right and wrong with it. But the man they found bound-handed and foot to the holdfast wall, awaiting the king's just was old and scrawny. I could cover the turning from the old scrawny man. I can't spell scrawny man. Bound it. All right. Okay. Okay. No, he is no. I don't think I need to know that he stood. Whatchamacallit? Not much taller than Rob. I don't think that's important narratively. And again, remember, you have word choice. So what is important? What are you trying to convey? Beautiful lyrical prose. So you maybe like my stuff. I personally like to keep narrative movement going through the experience, and sometimes I don't need this because I could in my brain I'm like, what why do we need to know that specifically, right? I could probably mention that later compared to another character because we don't have a reference to how tall Rob is anyway, let alone how tall, because he's not much taller than Rob. Well, Rob is 4'1", and this guy is like, we don't know. So it's like, how does that help me as a writer, like for my author voice? But again, as you can see, I'm keeping it through the movement of Bran. Now, if you notice, I got to here, right? And I'm in the same, right? It looks like I have more passages. It looks like I have more writing because I took away all this exposition to trade in for movement. I wanted character movement. I wanted characters to feel like they're a part of the experience. Okay, all right. So I think we'll stop there. We'll stop there. All right. And I gotta get rid of this. Okay. So let's read it real quick, all right? A morning crispness blessed across Bran's red cheeks, teasing his warmth away. He tucked his hood tighter over his head as the wind leaked around the nape of his neck, its clear and cold touch hinting at the end of the 9th year of summer. For a boy in his 7th year, he rode behind his lord father and held his head down to avoid his eldest brother, Rob. Bran hid the nervous curl of his head from him in a shiver, tucked away in the middle of the other riders, 20 in all. The procession steadied around him, having now traveled since the break of day, and before them is a man in the distance. Kneeling in the shadow of the king's justice, his sobs reached Bran in the dance of winds. Lord Stark controlled the pace, guiding the horses to a halt near the holdfast in the hills. Bran's brothers followed closer to their father before leaping off theirs, and as the youngest, Bran took his time climbing down his black stallion. Ragged and greasy stank of death corroded the air, flicking at Bran's youth. He covered his nose, turning from the older, scrawny man, bound hand and foot to the holdfast wall as he awaited his punishment. No ears, no fingers, and each lost the frostbite and dressed in black, same as the brothers of the Night Watch. All right, so there you go. This is an example of taking a piece. This is an exercise, by the way. As writers, it's okay to sort of practice your author's voice by taking something that exists and saying, well, how would I put this in my author's voice? And as you can see, we have, between R.R. Martin and myself, we have very distinct voices. And again, neither is good or bad. Like, they are choices. I am choosing to move through the character's cause and effect and behavior. He is narrating a tale and allowing it through exposition and detail, right? But he's also going like this moment right here is like, this is like pure exposition. All right. But he's also, this is, where is he? He's nervous. He says, they said, nervous with excitement. This would be an example of telling, but it's just getting, because he's trading word count for, he wants to get exposition out because it's world building, right? It's epic fantasy, and he just wants to, I don't know what he wants. I don't know what's in his head. But when it comes to epic fantasy, the reader needs to know information. We need to know about the world, right? So right away, he's explaining who, the king beyond the wall is and all this stuff. And I feel I could add that stuff later, when it almost seems purposeful and not necessarily, to me, that for my author voice, I wouldn't choose that because I feel it stops the narrative, because I just want to keep the movement. I think in terms of cinema. I have the camera moving. So again, this is a close up to Bran's face. Then we pull back and we see him riding behind his father. And then we realize there's a huge procession because it's 20 in all. Lord Stark comes to a halt. He's controlling it. And now we see the man, and he's right. So I'm creating camera beats and movements, and you could literally just take this, because I have a screenwriter's background, right? I come from the industry, right? From film and television. But I love narrative writing as a long form narrative. So that influences my author's voice. So a good exercise for anyone. Oh, I guess final thoughts. All right. Final thoughts. A good exercise for anyone is basically to you could take someone else's written works and then try to figure out how you would write it in your voice. And the way you do that is just take the piece, put them next to each other, and write out the beats as you feel you would write them. Don't think about how do I make it sound like this. I was just trying to get the information out, and then I highlighted it to make sure I got it right. And as you can see, I don't have this, but I don't care about that right now, right? I might need that later or something. I don't care about this because I might not, I could use that later. So think about that. And what this does as an exercise is start showing you a little bit more self-confidence. It starts showing you that you do have a voice. It gives you a chance to hone your voice because you're not writing something you worked on. You're writing on something else as an exercise in itself to say, all right, this already exists. So how do I mold this into my experience as a writer and get these words out? Bloop. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, and remember, there's no right or wrong when it comes to this. Like, again, I'm writing more cinematic and more action based through behavior, and Martin writes through exposition and explanation and immersion, right? My immersion comes through how the characters are feeling through things and how they're reacting to things. So there are so many different ways you could write. Again, there's even first person, you could literally be like, this damn it cold weather was hurting my cheeks. I can't, yeah, I'm old enough to go, but I wish my father did. Like, you could write it as straightforward as that. That would probably be young adult, but or even urban fantasy, if you whatever, they're all. What if you wrote in second person? You're like, I like writing second person. Or you rode upon a horse, or the morning Christmas blessed across your red cheeks, teasing your warmth away. Like, that's what second, if you've ever heard second person, teasing, what is it? Teasing your warmth away. You tucked your hood tighter over your head as the wind leaked around the nape of your neck. Its clear and cold touch hinted at the end of the 9th year of summer. For you, in your 7th year, you rode behind your Lord Father. That's second person. But that, again, that's a choice. Another choice is you could become mostly just poetic. You could just write it in long form poetic prose, where it's just artsy and you're not really worried about narrative. But the point is, every author has a different voice, and I'd love to see what you could come up with as writers just for this first passage, and write it in the comments below. Just show me your voice as a writer and how you would approach that particular passage. It's a nice exercise just in general, but it also allows us all to see that every author's voice is different. And that's what makes writing so beautiful as a creative outlet, is that we're not beholden to anyone's style. Like, you can't read Brandon Sanderson and say, I have to write like this or I'll never sell books, or, whatever. You need to look beyond what's on the page of others and focus on what you're trying to say, the things that matter to you as an author, because ultimately you're the one writing it. It's like being a painter. If you and I had to paint a smiley face, the way that smiley face came out is going to be different. I was once at one of those, where you pay to you're sitting with like 15 people and everyone's painting the same painting. Like, they put the painting up on the wall and they go, these are the steps, and then there's like wine and everything. I went there, and when I was done, none of those paintings looked the same. They were all different. They all had a different technique, a different touch. I even added a smiley. We had to do a sun, like a picture of the sun, and I just gave it a face and like arms holding onto the top of the canvas, and because that's my personality. I'm silly. I'm fun. It was about this beautiful scenery in Greece, and I still made it my own. And that's the point of being an artist. Is like, it's all about being creative. It's all about explaining your emotions, your passions, your themes. So, one of the things we have stylistic, beautiful, lyrical prose. Themes resonate with me, and immersion. So, your themes that resonate with you, right? Well, if you write the themes that resonate with you into your stories, others will connect with those stories through those themes. If you write beautiful lyrical prose that you find beautiful and lyrical, and you just like the flow of it, others that like that style. So find a way to embrace your truth. All right. So at the end of every session, I put the mic to everyone else. There are 4 people here right now. Who has any questions? I'm happy to spend a couple minutes asking or answering questions. Any questions? I'll give it 3 minutes, because I know that it's a slow response time on the back and forth. If there are no questions, I can move on. I could get to the next room. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Just let me know if there's any questions. Any questions? All right, I don't think there's going to be any questions today. Oh, here we go. This is my first time catching you live. Thanks for this. It's great to see the work happening live. Oh, anytime. Thank you, old Rod Chaos. Yeah, I appreciate you coming here. I appreciate you checking it out. And I think why I do it live like this, or why I show like real time examples, is because like on YouTube I don't really see that. I'll just see people go, you got to write in your author voice, and just make sure that you choose the right words. And I just want to show examples because that's what helps me. I have like this sort of like if you show me kind of thing. We're not asleep. I believe you. Also, I saw the name you used on your buying the cup. That was very funny. I don't know if that's your real full person name, but like anyway. Exactly. Yeah, and so that's why I try to do even the immersion stuff or the dialogue. Plus I just enjoy it. I like the exercise. I like the the mental work on it. By the way, I love your photo. The wizard. The wizard. Wizard. All right. Okay. All right, there we go. We had 6 peak today, huh? 6 people at one time. That's pretty good. We're getting up there. So before I go, if you have any questions about this or the voice, what I did today, or just something else in general that is about writing, this is a chance for you to by the way, I lost a subscriber. I just want to put that out there. Anyway. All right, give it to me, baby. All right. Is that it? Are we good? Are we good to go? Can I go take a nap? How's this work? I don't know how this works. Anyway, all right. Call it a day. Oh, he was probably like, oh, someone's writing my stuff. I don't even write my stuff. I gave up. I will say this: him not finishing that series is going to be a sad day. But I will also add that, like, imagine the immense pressure this guy has to have. First of all, it's like 13 years since he's published the book for the Game of Thrones, but he has the pressure of it's taken him 13 years. That means like these chapters need to be so good. You know what I'm saying? Like they have to be so good. And this is like the pressure of a writer. Like, oh, it's taken me 13 years. Like I can't just release rubbish now, right? Let me out of this box. Like he has taken so long. Like he can't just release something because he has to have that mentality. Like, they're going to be looking for like gold on the page. And then he has the show. I'll be honest, I don't think the show's ending. The last 3 seasons were amazing. And he ultimately, his book is going to be different. The books are going to be different. So he's contending with that as well. I can't even begin to understand the position he's in. I hope we get to see the final 2 books, but I know the stress has got to be terrible. I will say this, old Rod. He came out and said that his publishers are like, this is going to be a big book. Maybe you should break the books into 4 books. So the 2 last books might become 4 books. And he's like, no, I am publishing 2 books. I have 2 books left in this series. I don't care how big the books are. And they're like something like 1,000 pages right now for one of the books. And I'm like, damn. Damn. I was like, that's pretty big. I know that my epic fantasy book, the first book of my series, right now I'm at 250,000 words. And I know that's a lot in itself. But it's not Brandon Sanderson big or R.R. Martin big. But there's this funny thing. I have the prologue, whatever, is long, right? Because I made it like a short story. The prologue is ultimately a short story, and everyone who got it, they're like, "This is long," and I was like, "Well, did you read it?" They're like, "No, it's long," and I was like, "Just read it." And then every single person that's read it and goes, "I couldn't put it down. I kind of wish it was longer. It just moved. I finished it. It was quick," and I was like, "Yeah, it's because the pacing is not really about like how fast or slow you can read it, right? But it's um the readability of it is that it just moves. And again, it's because I try to see like how this sentence is as it is, and then it leads right into the next sentence. I'm just trying to move it along like you're visually watching a movie, and that's what keeps it going. And that always made me feel good. But some of these books I read, I love them. Like I love Way of Kings. Like it's a great book, but sometimes I'm just so much. It's just so thick with exposition. Like this to me, even this just kills me. And I love it though. Like I think it's great. Like don't get me wrong. Like I'm not like this is bad, but like this is hard for me. It's a lot of it's like I just feel like I'm getting splashed over. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on heavy exposition like this? Do you like it more fluid as a book? That's a good question. Do you like it fluid where it just keeps moving, or do you like it when it just because this is think about this. The man had been taken outside a small holdfast in the hills. That is like active narrative, and then it stops and it just explains all this. Rob thought he was a wiling, his sword sworn to mace. This is all recollection. The king beyond the wall. It made Bran's skin prickle to think of it. He remembered the hearth tiles. Like this is just explanation. I like stories to move along. A lot of exposition, and it's tough for me to stay awake, no matter how well it's written. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just Thomas B's new book, a book. Exactly. 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 Yeah, like I think all this information is important, but I don't think it's important enough to be right here. I think it's important to sort of like um I think it's important to spread it out. Like we definitely need to know Maze Rider, even though we don't see him for a couple books, is the king beyond the wall. Like that's important to know, but I don't know if it's important now, you know. And it's important to know about the Wildlings. We want to kind of hear about them, but I don't. Again, like it might not be. Maybe when they get to the guy that's down here, and he's like the breath of a man, the horseman, right? And the guy's like, I didn't do it. Well, that's not here, but when they're about to kill the guy, and he's like, no, don't. There's the dead are walking or whatever he says, right? And then even there, like the Wildlings got to him, and you can't trust the Wildlings, them and their hard ways or whatever, and then the characters maybe I would have them have a discussion about it because then you get to learn positions and how each of them feel upon it. Because this is a position technically. Thought he was a while, and this is Bran's position. So when I talk about positions, character positions on this channel, this is what I'm talking about. They consort with giants. So Bran is saying this. So this is what he believes because this is what people have told him. So he believes the Wildlings were cruel men and all this stuff. So that means we could challenge that at another time, which it does get challenged because we learned that the Wildlings aren't necessarily any of that. So it's good to create positions, but I would look at it as an opportunity to create at least a nudge into the other character positions. So I want to know what Rob thinks. I want to know what the father might think. I want to know what the other brothers might think. I would like to even know what some random character of the 20 in all thinks, just as an aside. And to me, that makes the world feel more lived in. This doesn't. Oh, what am I doing? I'm not even showing the screen. I'm sorry. This is all exposition, but this is what I've been talking about this entire time, and I thought I was showing it on the screen. So I apologize. This right here is a position. So this is a position. This is Brand's position. He believes this because they told him this, and now we get to challenge it. But again, I would like to hear the positions of other characters. Because to me, this isn't a lived-in world. This is just being dictated to. Did you know the Wildlings? They're evil and they're cruel and they they drink blood and kill children. Like they're just, to me, that's not a lived in world. To me, the lived in world is when characters are connected to it, even no name characters, and like people are moving through the history of things and stuff like that. But anyway. All right. If anyone, I noticed some more people have joined the room. We just finished the video, but I'm on the questionnaire. So if you have any questions about writing, I like to sort of give the last half hour to the audience and ask questions. So since a couple people entered, if you have writing questions, feel free to ask, because I love answering questions. And that's what this is for. Anything? No? Not many people leave. All right. We're going to end the poll. Let's see what happened here. So the poll says that it says themes that resonate with me. What does that mean? I'm going to throw that to I know what it means, but what does it mean for yourselves? What is themes that resonate with me? Like, do you read the book and you're like, oh, it has themes that I like, so I like this book. This book is good. Or are you looking for books that have themes that resonate with you? Or is it like sort of like a happy surprise, like, oh, hey, this book, the themes resonate with me? You know, because what pulls you through are the themes I could see, but like there's also immersion and all these other things. I don't know. I'm gonna give another sip. Anything? All right, I guess we're done. Banners. Question. I don't have a question this week. I don't have questions on the live, but what I do, we got something. People wrestling with decisions that I can relate to, or in situations that I can sympathize with. Excellent. Do you sympathize with wildlings that were cruel men, slavers and slayers and thieves? They consorted. All right. Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, people wrestling with decisions. That is a great theme, actually. Like even the moral decisions, or decisions of faith, or decisions just in general. Like I think that's a really good theme to see people battling against their own inner fears, or I that's another thing. Like people showing, making the choice to be brave because they are afraid, and they still go out and do what they got to do. I love that. I love seeing that. Anyway, like I said, I don't have any questions other than if you watch the video, if you haven't watched the whole video and you're just coming in, take a chance, look through it. We were talking about how our author voices shine. So I'm just saying, take this first passage and rewrite it in your own voice. I'd love to see that. Other than that, subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out. And the thumbs up always helps. And in the next video, what is the next video in this series? What is the next video in this series? I gotta go here. Uno momento, por favor. That's Spanish for uno momento, por favor. All right. Tomorrow will be another session of From Concept to Completion. I'll be writing a book in real time. So that's fun. The next week video will be immersion, descriptions versus immersion, character experiences. Ooh, that should be fun. I should have fun with that. Boop. Boop. Also, if there's anything you want to see, just let me know in the comments below. All right, with that, I guess that's it. We're done. I'm done. I'm out of here. Thank you so very much for everyone visiting, supporting, celebrating. Much love to you guys. And as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next show. Oh, wait. I don't want to. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. As always. Tomorrow, I'm in the room already. Awesome. All right. I love the support, man. I love it. And you're pretty amazing as well. All right, everybody, have a great time. Enjoy your Saturday.